Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is episode 18, so almost getting down to the end of season 1. I got episode 18 today, going to do 19 next weekend, and then round it out with a couple more episodes. Working on guests for 20 and 21, still finalizing that. But got a great show today, and then next weekend also have D.D. Taylor from 502 Hemp will come in and talk about hemp, CBD, and kind of some of the legislation's going on in Kentucky, some of the issues, and also some of the positives about the industry that she's been dealing with. But today I got a very special guest. When I recorded the Paul Cody Travel Stud episode earlier in season 1, a gentleman reached out to me. We ended up connecting. I ended up listening to his music, ended up kind of checking out his stuff. Really liked it. Thought it was really cool. You know, he's here from the local scene and here in Kentucky. And he knows Paul Cody and kind of everybody in that mix. So his name is M3rkuryy. This is his artist name. And I wanted to have him on today to not only talk about music, but also talk about dancing, talk about influences, talk about the local scene, and kind of talk about the culture that's going around the city when it comes to music. And then also, too, just kind of goals and admirations and just kind of vibe like usual, like every episode. So I hope everybody's been learning stuff. That's the main thing that I try to do with this show. And again, I can't appreciate enough all the downloads and everybody that's been listening. Getting close to that 1,000 mark, so that's my goal. So hopefully we'll get there. But M3rkuryy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, actually. Just actually got up and I was playing the game for a little bit, just waiting for 3:30 to come around.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming, for real. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, so music-wise, let's start off by, this is a question I know a lot of artists get asked in any kind of interview, but who motivated you or like inspired you when you were younger to do music, like artist-wise? Who were you listening to? Who was it about?
Well, I have a top three of mine. Starting out growing up, wanting to do music, I always listened to Michael Jackson.
Okay. Yeah,
he was
legend.
number one.
Yeah,
he was number one type priority. I just liked the way his vocals was and how how happy he was when he made music.
Mm-hmm.
It was like more of him. It wasn't fake. It was very authentic, and I love that about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Tupac, even though I didn't really
Another
grow
legend.
up, I didn't really grow up in his era of time. I just heard some of his songs, and I really liked the way his cadence was when he made music.
Mm-hmm.
And that inspired me to actually pop out a little bit more and be more worldly instead of what everybody else is doing. Because he had his own tribute of how he wanted to make his music be heard, and I like that about him. His demeanor
100%.
is so real.
Oh yeah. And he was also very poetic too. That's
very
what I like.
Poetic.
I like that a lot.
Very poetic.
Mm-hmm.
And with more being poetic, he was just being himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you are yourself, that's when you can make real music, not fake music.
Just be completely genuine. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm with you on that. Who's the third?
Selena.
Selena, okay.
Selena.
Rest in peace to Selena, rest in peace to Pac and Michael. Yeah, all
Yeah.
three legends.
Yep. Can't really tell you much about Selena. I just seen a movie.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma had me watch it because she knew I was very musical being young. Like, I didn't know what I was talking about when I was younger, but she was like, I think you might like this movie. I was like, okay. So she turned it on and started watching Selena, how she grew up from a little girl doing shows at little bars. Nobody really listened to her until I forgot what happened. I think her dad got her a gig, and that's when she popped out. But she never let the fame and the fans change her. She always stayed herself.
Yeah.
And she was very beautiful, but she didn't let her beauty control her style at all neither. She kept it real.
A lot of people, when it comes to Selena, was telling me when I went down to San Antonio for a wedding, and I think either in the movie or she's known for having a performance she did in either downtown San Antonio or somewhere close to the Alamo. But people in Texas really, really mess with Selena. I mean, big time. And I also too thought, not only does she have just a beautiful voice, but like you said, very inspirational, to keep it real, keep it 100, and I guess she was really good. The main thing I would say, to stay grounded, you know, and really stay focused. So what's really inspired you to make music? I mean, I know you said growing up you were really into music, and your grandma knew that you were music. What was it that you were just like, did one day just hit you, or you just been doing it for years and tried it?
Well, I've always been rapping for years, but I never really recorded myself.
Okay.
So I didn't have the knowledge, the tools to build my own studio. But I had a friend who lived out in Elizabethtown. His name was Wendell, R.I.P. He got into the wrong crowd, and before he left this earth, he was just like, well, first we met up at the barbershop, just out of nowhere. It was like a coincidence. And he was like, I'm ready. He's like, and I know you're ready. He's like, are you ready to record? You ready to do all these nice things? He's like, I know you got it. You got the spark. He's like, we're just ready for you to like be like, yes, like let's go at it.
Yeah. And
he was really smart, intelligent, was in choir, can sing, rap, danced a little bit. Like he can do it all. He was a very intelligent dude. Well, I got a call from my ex-girlfriend, and she told me, you know, she was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And she told me to turn on the news. I was like, okay. So I turned on the news. I thought it was very weird that like my ex-girlfriend, you know, called me and told me to look at the news. Cause I never watched the news.
Yeah, and that sounds kind of serious too. Like, yeah, that's alarming.
So I looked at the news and I saw his picture, and he passed away over a bad drug deal. But like his words stuck with me because he's always been encouraging me, always motivated me to like keep pushing, keep trying to, you know, find different ways to have word plays, read a dictionary. Like he just saw it in me, but I just didn't know how to create my own laboratory, basically.
Yeah.
But then when he passed, I was like, all right, it's time for me to take this to a different level.
And motivation wise, that's probably like, it probably motivated you more than ever at that point.
Yep, it really did. And I wish he was still here because he can see how far I've came from like my first song recording by myself to like now. Because my songs, I master everything now. Like with engineering, I know how to tweak my vocals now, and then I use an online mastering software instead of going to studios in Louisville and whatnot. I do it all by myself.
That's awesome.
If he was here, he'd been like, that's the M3rkuryy I know.
Yeah.
You know, like you really push yourself past your limits.
Yeah, I definitely know how you feel when talking about bad drug deals. I had a high school basketball teammate at J-Town, Camden Sandusky, no, excuse me. Why am I saying it? Oh my gosh, rest in peace. I mean, I just talked to Camden today, Sandusky, but I meant Camden McCroskey. Sorry, I got the names mixed up. I was actually just talking to Camden for the podcast, my other buddy, but. Basically, rest in peace to Camden. He had a drug deal go wrong, and it just was, it was really tough. I mean, it was tough not only on the community, but like when I went to college, you know, that's when I heard about it, and I was in Nashville, and you know, it actually was on a First 48 episode, and this really messed me up. And again, I didn't mean to fumble the names there, but when you're talking to somebody before the show, you know, sometimes you can get that mixed up. But yeah. Camden was I talked about actually on the Brandon Tremaine episode. He was a good dude, played basketball with me. Very well known and very well liked in J-Town. His sister Patience actually graduated with me, so. When bad drug deals go wrong, you know, I think, and to be honest, I think I could not have the facts maybe all the way right, but I think he even got killed over like maybe just a dime sack, some just very terrible, something that just was not worth taking someone's life. So I definitely know 100% that feeling, you know, when you lose someone, something that's so stupid, you know, almost. It's just like, but I definitely also know how. A loss or something tragic can motivate you to another level. And so that's a pretty cool story to hear, that not only did you have a friend that not only believed in you, but it's like that kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life. You know, not like no matter where you take this, you know, all the way, you could go all the way to the top with this, and you'll always remember him talking to you and everything. So I think that's super cool. And you know, definitely rest in peace to Wendell. Rest in peace to Camden. You know, both guys. You know, we know they're in a better place, and you know, just unfortunate circumstances. So when it came to music, and like you know, I'm also an audio production major too. I went to college for that. I got my degree in audio production. So when I did music in the past, when I do my podcast, I engineer everything myself, mix, record. So I definitely have respect you from that level, because a lot of people don't know how to do it, or a lot of people don't want to get messy, and get into the mix of things and get into things. And
Right.
so overall, I think that's really cool. So when you were recording and stuff, did you ever feel overwhelmed to like mix and master after the end, like after you did it, or did it like, or were you just pumped like, hey, I got this song, I can't wait to put it out, I'm gonna put my work on it?
First starting out, like on my first song, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But a lot of reading. I did a lot of reading on like certain tools, and I looked up stuff on YouTube because my first software I used was called Audacity. I think that's how you say it. It's like a free software for recording.
Yeah.
And that was my first recording software that I used. But I didn't know what I was doing at all. I didn't know. Like,
and shout out to Audacity.
reverb.
Audacity's a good beginner one.
Reverb and changing the volume panels. Like I didn't know how to do any of that. But so at first, I was very overwhelmed. But then once I started to keep going at it, like I'm going to make this. I guess in a sort of way, I was pumped to see how my results came back. And I remember posting my first song, and I showed people because for some reason I love people's feedback. I love seeing people's expressions on like movies and stuff to see how they react to the main character or like the events that happen. I'm just weird.
That's
like
cool.
that.
No, I don't think that's weird. That's cool, man. Like no, I'm totally with you on that.
But I made the song. It's called 270 Come Up. It's on SoundCloud. I probably would never post it on Apple Music or Spotify. But I showed people at my job, and they was like, this is actually pretty good. Like, you do this on your own? I was like, yeah, I did it on my own because I wasn't as confident. I was like, oh, man, I messed all this up.
Yeah, trying something new.
Exactly. And I actually had a little bit of help, too, because my brother, he was really into music as well. His name is Tacoma, but he go by TJ Rex.
Okay.
T-Rex, yeah. And
shout out to T-Rex. Yeah, that's all about this podcast too. We're always shouting people out, not only plugging our stuff, but plugging others. So shout out to him for sure.
And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be so pumped and learning how to record myself.
Yeah.
To get to where I was at now. He showed me some things. He told me to look things up on YouTube. He was like, you probably should turn down your vocals, probably should turn up your vocals. Maybe you should turn down the beat. Like, he was actually instructing me, like building me in a way to where I can do it by myself.
That's what's up. Yeah.
So, and he's younger than me, so I was pretty surprised. I guess he's been doing research on his own. So, I mean, after that first song, I was pretty pumped to figure out how to learn how to make my songs now.
Now, do you feel like you just kept slowly improving with it? Like, I mean, because when you do something repetitively, no matter what it is, sports, it could be a job, it could be driving the same route every day, you get comfortable and you know what to expect. You kind of like get comfortable with the negatives, the positives with it all coming into it. But I could totally relate when it's like when I started doing the audio thing. In the beginning, I was nervous as hell too, and also too, I was like, do I have a good ear? Like, am I mixing right? Because I was going to school to engineer, and I was really big on feedback too as well. I've always been the type of person where I like to put out my stuff. I'm not afraid of anybody giving me negative feedback, positive feedback. But when you get positive feedback, it not only motivates you, but it's like it makes you hungry for more. So when I was putting stuff out that might not even been something I did, I was either doing a project or working with somebody. Like, I remember there was a guy named Dino I went to college with. Shout out to Dino, he listens to the show. But he had a sister named Ashley who just had a great voice when I was in college. And they were from Michigan, the Detroit area, and I was living in Nashville. So they came down to the studio. Dino was on the keys, and basically Ashley was singing. And another gentleman, Brad, was with me, but I was mainly the one recording, and I did the mix. And just getting Dino and Ashley's reception at that time, I probably only had met them or been around them 3 to 5 times. Now I would consider them like best friends, close friends to me. But at that time, going into a session, I had just been working with friends, my own kind of stuff. So it was nerve-wracking. Like, I was like, I'm about to go not only spend their time recording, but now I gotta mix it. So when it's for someone else, it's even that more pressure you can feel. So when you not only when you were mixing and recording, I mean, did you feel like not only for your stuff, but did you feel like you could take it, like I was saying, and do it for other people?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I actually did. There was this. Well, he was my best friend. His name is CJ, but he goes by Rebirth Moon now.
Okay.
And we got a couple of songs on SoundCloud. He's actually doing his thing in Cali at the moment. We hung out New Year's Eve. He came from Kansas to come see me, and we just made a song called Gogeta. And like, this is where I was comfortable with Audacity before I had my new software that I'm using now, which is Adobe, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew everything about Audacity at this time. It was like 3 years ago. And I was like, okay, I'm about to make this song sound dope. And when we record, it took us an hour to actually record the song, master it, change the volume, like all that. Like, actually engineering it took an hour. And it came out nice, because I showed him. I was like, so this is what you want to sound like? He was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. And I was like, okay, cool. And that was, I think that's the only time I actually like recorded somebody. I mean, I had friends that like send me their songs, and then I'll like mess with it a little bit and send it back, and they like it. I have a friend named Lene. She actually lived out in Louisville.
Okay, shout out to Lene.
It's funny how we met. I used to use this dating app called Tinder.
Yeah, shout out to Tinder. Yeah, definitely know about Tinder. I could do a whole episode on Tinder.
Oh yeah, but this is when I was out in E-Town, and I was kind of pushing music, kind of wasn't, because I wanted to give up at the time. But I met her on Tinder. It wasn't anything like, oh yeah, I like you, you like me. It was like, oh, you do music? She was like, yeah, I do music. Do you do music? And I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you should send me your stuff. So she gave me her number, and she sent me her songs. And there was this one song that stood out to me called Verbatim. And I was just like, I have to get on that. I have to. So I asked her, I was like, is it okay, if you can send me your first verse without having a second verse on there so I can get on it?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, yeah. So she sent it to me. It took me about like a month to actually write to it, because I was in my head thinking about how I wanted to sound.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to mess up her song, because it was a dope song. I didn't want to mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like low confidence with that. But then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I had my brother come down from being upstairs to record me while I, use my microphone and record into it. And after I got done recording my verse, I sent it to her. And she like fell in love with it. She was like, yo, like your sound, the way you're rapping, your cadence, the way the audio is, like I love it. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, thanking me. And I'm not.
That's dope.
Yeah. And like, I wasn't anything like well known in E-Town at the time, so I was just like, I think I did good,
Yeah.
But thank you, because like I'm a very humble person. I don't think I'm the best. I don't think I'm doing the best work. I'm just like, I gotta perfect it. I'm a bad perfectionist. Like I always had to make something better than my last song. Or
dude, I'm guilty of it too, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like being a perfectionist is the biggest thing. Like anytime on any, I probably make a few errors on each episode, just by maybe like earlier, like quoting something wrong, saying name wrong, because your brain's spinning, especially when you're doing this live. And so like when I'm hitting the ball running, it's like I'm trying to think of things, like different things come to my head, but I love it. It's natural. I have fun with it, but there's always like a few errors, and I'll listen back to every episode, and everyone gives me positive feedback. Shout out to everybody that's shown love, but I personally will be like, hey, I wish I maybe said that different, or hey,
Yeah.
I wish the volume was up on that spot, or hey, maybe I should have talked a little bit more about that story. But at the same time, like as a creative person, as a perfectionist, I've to just not only live a normal life headspace, but also to be able to keep doing things. I've thrown the what ifs out the window. It's like, I know there's gonna be fuck ups. We're not perfect as humans. Like There's shit that's gonna happen, and at the end of the day, I just know I'm either going to fix it or just keep getting better. And that's the whole thing about this. Like, I have a lot of respect for you from the standpoint of you built a confidence level. You not only were focused on your own thing, but you're reaching out to people and networking, which is dope. I'm the same way as you. I mean, I think you and I are a lot alike, because humble-wise, I'm the same way also, too. But I feel like, too, not only are we humble, but we both have a confidence level. Because even if we did, like I just started this podcast back in March. Like, I've done audio, I've done music over the years. Like, I worked for Leo Weekly for almost 5 years, wrote. I mean, thing about it is I've always had a confidence to put something out and be creative. And I think that's what, when you are creative at any level, putting content out is important. And so I think that... But you have to be humble with it, because there's always room to get better. And
too much confidence will basically like boost your ego up too much to where you won't even take bad criticism or good criticism from like random strangers. You know, if you are too confident, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm the best, I'm doing this the right way. But to like celebrities or somebody who's well known in the local town, like let's say for instance Get Some, you know.
Yeah, shout out to Get Some.
Yeah,
shout out to
yeah.
Paul Cody Travelstead, Louisville. He's become a Louisville legend here.
Oh yeah, that's my boy. You know, let's say you was doing EDM music and you just think it's dope, you know, but like your friends or your parents are telling you, you know, maybe you should add this or take this out. If Get Some hears it and he don't like it, he's gonna tell you like, nah, bro, like it's not good, and then you're gonna take that and it's gonna be a big conflict. Like you're not gonna take that as like advice. Like maybe I should do something better. Maybe I should listen to, you know, my friends or the strangers that telling me that I should put more into it or take less out. And so like it's just like a little balance. Like you have to have balance with confidence.
And now, you know, shout out to Paul Cody because not only has he been on the show, it was a great episode, and he, like I said, he's a local Louisville legend. I don't mind talking about him. Paul Cody, you know, he started Weird Fam, and the reason I say I don't mind talking about him, the dude is just a positive dude. He's an influence. So anybody that's been on the show, I'll talk about. I always reference back to old episodes and stuff, but Paul Cody just he brought something great to the podcast episode he was on. But it was my first time really being around the dude, and I learned a lot about him. Also learned kind of like his insight. But to go back, it's important, not just Paul Cody, anybody in your life, to be real with you and honest. Like you can literally have 20 people, friends on your team, family, whatever. Oh, it's great. I love it. It sounds fantastic. Keep doing it. That's not genuine. You want someone like Paul Cody or someone, and I'm the same way. Like shout out to my buddy AJ. Shout out to Brad. Shout out to a couple other people, even my buddy Trevor. There's been a few things where I know they're not coming at me, putting me down, like, hey, you suck. Hey, that suck. No, number one, they're listening. Number two, they're just like, hey, you might want to have done this, or hey, you talked a little fast on this, or hey, maybe go into detail with that one story you shared. And even if it's the most minor tweak, I appreciate and I love that they're being real and genuine. I don't need someone just being like, oh, it's great. It's like that. Now, those people are great too. You know, you need everyone in the mix to keep it going. You need those people that are just genuine, nice, positive people.
Right.
But you also, at the end of the day, you're not going to go anywhere, because if you can't take criticism from your close friend that you would do anything for, how are you gonna survive, or what are you gonna do when Joe from Tulsa, Oklahoma hears your song and writes in the comments, that sucks ass? You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you don't hear from your friends first, or learn how to take that criticism, when Joe from Oklahoma or Betty from LA, whoever is leaving comments or at that point you're kind of like, wait, all my friends said this is fire. Why are people not liking this?
It's going to eat you up. And it's probably going to break your confidence, which I done seen a lot of people had that mindset, like, yeah, I'm the best, I don't care what anybody else says, and then they see that one comment, they're like, I'm done, or they just give up.
Yeah.
And they don't want to push further to become better, to prove that, you know, you can be better. You don't have to prove anything to anybody, but if you're creating art, you know, if you want to master your art and be the best you can be, you're gonna have to keep improving.
Exactly.
There's so much room for improvement. So.
I mean, this and you know, it's funny that we're kind of talking about this around this time, but you know, the NBA playoffs are going on right now, and there's a player named Ben Simmons, plays for the Philadelphia 76ers, and you know, they just lost to the Hawks. The Hawks advanced, and you know, the reason I bring this up is he's getting a lot of criticism, not only from the media, but from teammates, from fans in Philly, from just NBA basketball lovers in general, where, you know, he had the worst free throw percentage in NBA postseason history. And the dude's a star. You know, he's got a big contract, starting guard up there for Philly. So it's just like you said, though, I'm not saying that he was cocky going into it, because he's been in the league for a few years, and maybe that's why he hasn't improved. Maybe he's not practicing in the off season. I really can't say an answer because I don't know the guy, but it proves, though, even though he's making over $100 million and he's making more money than anybody, making all, he's an NBA star. He's got all, I think he dated a Kendall Jenner one time. Whatever, all this shit, all this shit that goes on in an NBA player's life. You look at him on paper, that's successful, and I think he is successful. I think he's got talent, but he's got to get better. Like, not only from free throws, but just shooting in general. And there's just a lot, and they're not going to win in Philly if they're backing someone like that. But that proves where, even though you got money and the fame and the glory, and you can do whatever you want kind of deal at that point in your life, there's room to improve, because it's if he doesn't, it's like, unfortunately for him, he has a legacy that he has to try to either fix, or he's going to have to settle. People are going to be talking shit the rest of my life. Even though he's got money, fame, that doesn't always buy happiness. So I'm totally with you when it comes to working on your craft, doing it, because I think people are always trying to do that. I mean, even Eminem, who's rapping going into 50. I mean, I love Eminem. I mean, I grew up on him. He's one of my favorites. But it's like, the deal with Eminem too is, here recently, not always, his records aren't always the best. There's sometimes where I'm even like shocked to say it. I'm like, Eminem needs to work on this, or he needs to work on more creative stuff. And that's even on some artists. Like, and not to get into different mainstream artists or something, but just curious to have your opinion, since we're talking music.
Okay.
Why do you think Kendrick Lamar hasn't put out something big? I learned this fact yesterday, that Mad City, the album they put out that just literally changed the hip hop game, amazing album. Good Kid, Mad City. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. But basically, it's still charting. It's the longest charting album in hip-hop history. It still has songs that chart to this day, and it's been out for years. Like, maybe, I think, 7 years. I could be wrong, but I think around then.
Yeah, around then.
What do you think is holding him back? Do you think it's creative motivation, or do you think he's trying to top that?
Okay. Honestly, I feel like, well, in my opinion, my perspective on music in general and artists, speaking of Kendrick Lamar, I feel like he knows what he's doing. Like, it's a thing that some rappers do. Like, if you're being loved so much, if everybody respects you for who you are, for your music, how silly you are, they're gonna wait for that album. And it's like he dropped that last album. What was it, Damn? I think it was Damn, yeah. And it went off, like, the billboards. Like,
Humble was, like, the biggest song.
Humble,
the
DNA,
video was crazy.
Fear. Like, everybody loved that album. There was no type of, like, man, he could have done better. Like, it was pure. It was pure music that came from his soul. And I feel like, since he knows, because he already told everybody, like, it was trending on the internet about how he's releasing a new album. People just don't know when, and like, when people are notified,
that mystery out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then they go back, listen to all his old stuff that was a banger in like 2010, 11.
Yeah.
Whew.
I mean, because a lot of people don't realize he was dropping some fire ass mixtapes that late 2000 range. Like, when I mean late 2000, like that 2010 range, like in those 06 to 08 ish 9. I mean, he been putting out content.
I think he's just been chilling, like, just being like, all right, I already got the album made. I'm just seeing,
He's already got the respect, the legacy. He's already done pretty much everything an artist wants to accomplish.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, what else is there to accomplish? But you can tell he's an artist, and he doesn't want to stop. But, and I you know what? You're completely right. And no, and the reason I say that is, I think you're completely right. He does know what he's doing, and I really haven't thought about that. And I should have related, an artist that I think tried to go the Kendrick Lamar route right now was Playboi Carti. Let me tell you about Playboi Carti, my opinion. So I actually saw Playboi Carti at Forecastle. That was actually the day I met Jack Harlow, and I was at the Playboi Carti show, and I was on the side, and I had heard some of Playboi Carti's earlier stuff, and this is before A Whole Lot of Red came out, and so he's doing a couple of his songs from back in the day, and Pierre's there, and he's doing the whole set, and the set was lit. He did great, and it's not. I'm I'm not gonna say that I just sit there and bought Playboi Carti all the time, but during that time, you know, Pain 1993 came out with Drake there towards the end, all these different things, and Carti really, even dating Iggy helped him. Like, it really, his name and like stardom was really growing.
Oh yeah.
But the thing about Carti that was really disappointing was, and the reason I don't think it worked was he tried to do the Kendrick route by promoting Whole Lotta Red, kept saying it's coming out. His fans got to the point where they were getting pissed off, and he kept writing back these messages like, hey, I love you still, like, thanks for being patient, all this stuff. And he dropped maybe like a couple singles or a feature, and even the people that were in his corner were like, hey, Whole Lotta Red's coming soon, hey, I just heard Whole Lotta Red, it's fire, all this stuff. But when Whole Lotta Red dropped, it was crap. And I'm not acting like I'm better. I respect his artistry, and you might disagree, others might disagree that are listening, but it just wasn't the album that was living up to the hype. I've been a fan. I respect artistry. I'm very open-minded when it comes to hip-hop. I'll listen to mumble rappers. I'll also listen to mainstream rappers. I'll listen to gangster. I'll listen to more humble. Anyway, I just love rap and hip-hop in general, and I can respect artistry when something's different. And so I think his flow, I respect it, and I think he has put out fire content in the past, but it just, him trying to do that Kendrick route, he didn't have a good Kid Mad City really in the bank.
Nope.
When you have a couple singles, that's great to bank on, but you can't always try to do a route that a bigger star goes, even though it's working for them, because you're not that big star yet.
Especially if you don't have a huge impact on society itself. Like the difference between Playboi Carti and Kendrick Lamar, even though Playboi Carti tried to go that route, like you said, he didn't really have like a song that was like, oh my god, like this dude is dope, so I'm gonna follow him throughout all his his journey through music. It wasn't like that. But if you look at somebody like XXXTentacion, he had
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. That was my guy. But he had so many songs that people can relate to, people love, and he kind of did the same thing, except for it was unexpected. Like he dropped the song "Look at Me," but he was in jail when that blew up.
Yeah.
And then he waited a couple months after he got out of jail, and then dropped another album. Did songs with Trippie Redd,
Kodak,
and and all those were bangers. Like everybody loved it.
And what I loved about him was also, a lot of people didn't realize, like, you could be a fan, but he was kind of a mystery still. Like, you knew Kendrick, you knew stuff about Playboi.
Oh yeah.
When it came to him, it's like there was still that mystery out there, which almost made him legendary. Like out of that whole like generation of rappers during that time period that had just came out, and even with how much Kodak and him were close, and like Kodak was really trying to put him on and do stuff, like he was bigger than all those guys, just because it, not only his name, like watching his No Jumper interview, like Adam 22 had him on No Jumper, and it's like, the dude was on this plane of just taking off. I mean, he really was gonna do big stuff.
XXXTentacion was, nowadays people will like call it 4D, 5D. At the time when he first came out and did his like interviews with Adam 22, he was more intelligent and more like self-aware of himself and what he can do, the power, the knowledge that he had.
Exactly.
And so he was more elevated than the rappers that was in his era. And I think that's also something that Kendrick is on. Tyler, Creator, because Tyler, Creator did the Kendrick route too. He waited years until he dropped his last album, which was Igor, and that did surprisingly good. Because I'm a big fan of Tyler as well, but compared to his old rap and how he raps now, I'm just like, I don't know about it. But then like actually fall in love with the creativity that he did, I was like, okay, I appreciate it a lot more.
Let me tell you this about, I'm glad you brought up Tyler. Let me tell you a little Tyler story, because I actually have a personal Tyler, the Creator story of me and him do have an interaction in my life. So he came out with his big hit back in the day, the big video, the controversial video where he's eating the bug, and
Yonkers,
and and a lot of people got to know him, and it was that shock value. And then of course Odd Future, huge clothing brand, they got a big festival, they're huge out in Cali. They also too. It's like Odd Future. Not only they're in the entertainment, Adult Swim, but they are cool with everybody in the industry too. Like Miley, Justin Bieber, Mac Miller, like all these people that you didn't realize, like Jaden, you know, yeah, I mean Jaden's like really close with Tyler. So thing about it was when I was starting rapping, like I rapped back in the early 2000s, like 10ish area. Like I dropped a song called Getting Shitty, and then I started working on some other stuff. But I really wanted to, me and my buddy Jama were talking, shout out to John Mohammed, that's my best friend, my video director at the time. And he shot a lot of music videos, and we put a video out of my song. Well, a lot of my friends are watching, different people were like, how can we get someone that's like really big celebrity wise, that's big on social media to like either watch this? So my buddy Jama had this crazy idea of like, just go in on them, just keep going hard on them, like talk shit, give them shit and see if they respond. So we were like, who's our 2 targets that we could pick today? So me and Jama are sitting there, and Jama's like, Tyler Creator, you give me one. And I was like, Jimmy Fallon. So I'm on my Twitter, Jama's on his Twitter, and dude, we're alternating. We're going back at Jimmy and Tyler, and it wasn't anything like bad, but I was just like, hey Tyler, hey you bitch, like listen to this, or like, hey Jimmy, fuck your show. Usually, and like at the time I'm kind of like, I didn't want to do it because at the time I'm kind of like, this could bite me. Like, what am I doing? But this is creative. This is my buddy Jama. We're also just sitting there, probably like being silly, who knows, like. And so out of nowhere, hour and 30 minutes goes by, and we've probably hit Tyler at this point with maybe 7 DMs, like maybe. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like I was nervous because this message came in. He didn't tweet to us because he ain't gonna tweet to us, but he messaged and he wrote, who are you, N-words? And he goes, and what the fuck is wrong with you two? And we're like, man, we got your attention. We just want you to watch the video. And he says, send the link. So I send the link. He watches it. And he literally says back, he goes, listen, this shit's funny. I did watch it and listen to it. I like the song. I like the beat. Shout out to y'all. And he's like, here's the little clout I'm going to give y'all. He's like, y'all got my attention. And he's like, good work. And he's like, good luck. Like, could have been an asshole, could have been a dickhead, could have brought back that same energy, could have got all of Odd Future to attack me and John. You never know. But the thing about Tyler Creator is this: no matter what you think of him or anything, I will have respect for him for the rest of my life. Even if I don't ever pick up the mic doing rap or music ever again, I will have respect for him for not only responding, watching. He didn't have to do that. I mean, he literally is a Grammy award-winning rapper. He's literally a creative person. He was on Ridiculousness. Like, he has the career, and I mean, he's made. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need Jama. He doesn't even need to respond. He could have just been like, what a bunch of fucking losers, like deleted.
Just left you on red or something.
Yeah, but for him to respond and do that, and I saved all the screenshots like on a thumb drive, but it's like, I just thought it was so cool. And you know, shout out to Tyler Creator because Jimmy Fallon never got back to us. But it's just like, that was just that when you brought him up, that is a story. I don't even know if I've shared that publicly. Like, Jama and I it was just like a Wednesday during like college, and we're just like at the crib chilling, and we're like, let's just try something new. So when it comes to Odd Future and like artists like that, and when it comes to like a whole group, I'm not talking about a band, I'm talking about like I'm not talking about like D12. I'm talking about like a group when it is Odd Future, a collaborate, like Young Dirk's group OTF. You know, do you like that? Like, would you ever sign or do something like that, or would you want to be where everyone's just like, you're cool with people, but it's more individual, like you're not with that?
It's funny that you asked that because I actually have a group like that.
Oh, okay.
We're actually called Origins.
Okay. Shout out to Origins.
And we met on Overwatch.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. So one day I got home from work. I was tired, and I was like, no, I'm gonna play some Overwatch. I'm looking for a group on Overwatch, and I see a random like tab that says, freestyle. Join if you freestyle.
Oh, that's
and I was
dope.
like, okay, cool. So then I joined, and there's 2 dudes in there. One of my friends' name, he's a really good person, lives in Hawaii. His name is called Go Tanks.
Wow.
Yep, his name is called Gotenks.
Now, before you get, have you talked to him about Hawaii?
Huh?
Like, is Hawaii dope? Does he like it?
Oh yeah. He actually works on he works. I forgot what he work. He works in a restaurant, and he says like it's really beautiful at nighttime because he's able to go out and serve people.
Yeah.
And like the lights are on, the lamps are like around you, and it's like it's just beautiful. It's peaceful, and he's like he loves the energy. And
That's awesome.
He's been talking about getting me out there.
I've never been to Hawaii. That's one state I need to go to, but I've never heard. I know there's negative things in every place in the world, but I've never just heard someone be like, I just don't fuck with Hawaii. Like, Hawaii, no, it's like Hawaii's dope.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's out there. I met somebody named Lil Reef. He lives in Louisville, actually.
Okay, shout out to Lil Reef.
And we did a song, a freestyle together on BB King's Freestyle by Lil Wayne and Drake. And we did that together. That was our first song together. But
that's a classic. That's a Wayne mixtape song, right? Mm-hmm. That's a classic. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a good one.
It came out last year actually.
Yeah.
But so we did that together. I think it was a dope track. But starting out, they was like, okay, what's up, M3rkuryy?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you guys said my name wrong. I'm about to leave. But I was just joking. And it was like, no. He's like, it's all good. Look, he's like, all we're doing is just freestyle. And he's like, if you want to freestyle, if you can freestyle, you can. If not, you can listen. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I can't freestyle. Yeah. So I just listened to them go back and forth. I was like, okay, now I'm about to say something. He's like, what? You can really rap? I was like, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And he threw on the beat, and
shit.
I just start freestyling. And it was like, what? Oh, my God, where'd you come from? Where you live at? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm from Kentucky. I've been here for a while. I live in Elizabethtown, small city. I was like, it's cool to like link up with you guys and actually do this because like normally when people freestyle on like video games, they're just playing around or they being like assholes,
just being silly,
yeah, or they'll say something about you when you join in. No, these guys was so chill, and then they introduced me to more people.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't just them two. It was like there was another guy who lives in Cali. He goes by like Captain TX. He's really dope. There's another guy named Vibe, Dorillis Vibe. He lives in Belgium actually.
Okay.
And we just got done rapping this morning. Shout out to Belgium. Yeah, we just got done rapping this morning, and it was all chill vibes. He's like an old school.
Dude, that's dope.
Old school type vibe.
So you're not only networking with people domestically, you're doing this worldwide, which is even, dude. That's why I like, bro. That is exactly what I did like in my early days, dude. Like, I still to this day, I think networking internationally, not only in music, but just in life in general, is so important. There's so many people, not only in Louisville, but just in the United States as general. I'll just speak for the United States people that are closed-minded or just or just stupid. I mean, and I'm not saying this stupid is like an insult, but just dumb to not know what's out there. And when you're even if you're just rapping with somebody or you're just talking message with them, you're learning something. And it's just, and I'll be honest, to this day, it don't matter if it's 2021 or it's 2008 or it's 2050. It's cool to say you have friends in other countries. Yeah. Like, because why just have friends in one state? Like, it can get to the point where you're just like, I'm trapped, Yeah. When you expand, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like they're like my spiritual brothers because we all lift each other up. And, like, it's not like we share each other's music and that's it. Like, we talk about everything. And then I randomly stumble across a beat maker who makes beats for me for free. And he'll just send me packs, like, a lot of packs. And he'd be like, hey, bro. He's like, I hope you're doing good. Stay blessed. Here goes some packs. And I was like, okay, cool. So I added him to the Origin group. And then me, Gotenks, and Captain TX and Lil Reef, we all talked about it. And we was like, you know what? We should actually make a family crew, like,
wow,
full of artists. If we find somebody on Overwatch, we're gonna recruit them, like the X-Man did. Yeah, that's also why we're called Origins.
And okay.
And so like we've
been what a crazy transition to get into group thing. Ain't that crazy? Literally, I just bring up Odd Future and just what's going on in Lil Durk and all that, and then you already have a group. Like, I just was gonna get your opinion, and then you've already got a group. Like that's just a dope. I like when that shit happens. That's a dope transition.
I haven't really told anybody yet when I moved to Louisville because like I didn't really know too many people. Yeah. Like I knew of Get Some. I got a friend named Ashman. Shout out to Ashman. He's a DJ. He plays at Nirvana.
Okay.
I know somebody named Josh. Jalen Flex. I used to dance with Jalen on stage for Get Some at Diamonds.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is, man.
Yeah, that's how I met Get Some. Like one day, I think he was playing. I went back. We was in the back of Diamond's Pub, and I was like, "What's up, bro?"
Yeah.
Because like I was new to the Louisville scene.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "It's really dope in there, ain't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's a lot of people." He was like, "Do you want some weed?" I was like, "Ah, man, I don't smoke." I was like, I wish I did, but like, ever since then, every time I see him, like we always just shake hands, and then we go on about our business. Like it's like a business thing with me and Get Some. But yeah, I didn't really know too many people. Like my mission when I moved out to Louisville was to get my name out, because in E-Town I already did that, and then I have a foundation crew with people who live in different areas, and they're pushing out the crew origins.
And that's what's important. Like when you look at stats, even when it comes to this podcast, anything, you want to see other areas. I think a lot of people, not just in music but in creative general, or doing anything that's even competitive, when you're just stuck in the same area, not when it's like all the people in Louisville buying everything. That's dope that your city follows you and fucks with you, but it's like you wouldn't have the success or just the reach if it wasn't for people in other areas and stuff. And a lot of times it is all about that person just spreading the word, telling their buddy. Like when I put out music back in the day, I met a girl in Wales who I'm still friends with today. Shout out to Emma. I'm looking at my iTunes receipt when iTunes was a big thing, and people were buying songs for $1.29, and I'm seeing my receipts coming in for my song sales, and I'm like, iTunes UK. And the thing about it was this: she could have just told me, hey, I told my friend about this, hey, I played this at a party, hey, I like your song, and I've been happy and fine. Again, I don't need a novel, I don't need a poster but the thing about it is just seeing that ball. Number one, it built trust with her. Number two, also it's like I know she's genuine. Like she really fucks with the music, and she fucks with me, and that's what's so important to me. If you fuck with my shit, if you want to work with me, associate me, like you and I, bro, we didn't even know each other. Literally have just met before this podcast, and you're cool as shit. But it's like also too, but two, bro, it's like. I listened to your music, I heard the talent, but also too, you and I were just talking, very casual, and it's just like the whole thing about it is it was all about networking and connections, and it's like not only are you helping my podcast, I'm helping you with it, so we're both getting some publicity out doing that, and I think that's what it's all about. If you don't reach out, or if you don't say nothing, or you don't network, it's just. It can really sabotage your career. It can be almost self-sabotage. But that's dope, too, that, like, when you bring up dancing, so I noticed, too, on your personal Facebook, like, you've done dancing and stuff like that, but, do you feel like dancing is something else that you've wanted to do besides music? Like, do you feel like there's ever a career with that? Or is it something you just do for fun?
That's one of the biggest problems that, like, well, that's one of my biggest flaws, actually. Because it's always a battle between music and dancing. Yeah. And the reason why I say this is because I get more feedback when I do music. Growing up, dancing, everybody thought it was cool, but they didn't really understand it because they couldn't do it, or they just didn't understand it or understand why I was moving the way I did. When I went to school, people loved it. But when I start to rap, people was like, you need to start doing that more. Like, I don't know. It's like nowadays. It's like you want to give the people what they want. Yeah. But you also still have the passion in you. Oh yeah. Like I love dancing. It's just there's no support in it. Like nobody really cares about. I mean, I can't really say nobody cares about it because in different areas they do. But it just depends on like the support system or the people that you're around. Like I can go out nowadays and dance at a club and get a circle. At the end of the day, none of them people are going to talk to me after we get done dancing. See, that's what I was going to say. You bring that up. I remember back in the day when I used to go out. I worked at Budweiser about 7 years ago, and I'm out there at Barrett. See, that's what I'm telling you. Sometimes the errors have backs. I'm at Baxter's, and I'm chilling there at Baxter's, and
I think at this time it was like dollar Natty Light nights where they had a natural light keg and you just get it for $1. Well, hanging out there and I'm talking to girls, I'm just chilling, whatever. I'm hanging out with a couple of my buddies. But my buddy, shout out to Trevor, but he's not a professional dancer. He's not even a dancer. But it's hilarious because out of our group, he did have some kind of moves, but he was just doing like the same moves, but it looked normal, like it looked good dancing, but it also like he was just doing fun. He's drunk, he's having a good time. But the thing about it was this. I would notice, like, not only Trevor, but others, like, if you get up in that circle when everybody's hyping it up, it's an awesome feeling. It don't matter if your moves suck or if you're just doing something stupid to be funny. Like, no matter what you're doing, when everybody's like, oh, like, and the music's going, it's just a dope feeling. But I also can relate to the point of half the time, those circles, you don't know anyone in the circle.
Exactly.
You also don't know... Are they doing this to hype me up because they care? Are they doing this just to... They're drunk? Or are they doing this just because, hey, I'm going to be silly, or I see a circle up there, I'm just going to join that circle and just start talking shit and having fun. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with any of the three, but at the same time, I get what you're saying. There's not a real... Unless it's like a competitive dance thing or a ballerina show. Like, people don't get around it. And I even think, like... They kind of stepped away from it where, we had all those dancing movies back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago. It's like a lot of that, it's almost fizzled out. You don't see that as much. You don't see the dance crews as much.
It changed growing up because back then, like, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have, like, iPhones and all this other advanced technology to where we can just get on YouTube and watch it, and that's just how we get our excitement nowadays. Like, nowadays, actually, I do have a dance crew as well.
That's what's up. Yeah. No, you can talk about it for sure.
But nowadays, it's just like there's just no oomph. Like the dance scene itself, there's just no oomph in it anymore, and a lot of people are missing that spark from other like performers.
Yeah. There's no not only with dancing, but I feel that way. With a lot of things, and not my life personally, but just in the world. Like, I've always believed in the theory that no matter what industry or what it is aspect of your life, everything changes every 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Like, I believe this thing, and maybe it's just my theory, but I just believe every 5 years is like you're not only going through huge life transitions, but it's like everything in the world is changing around you because things can't really stay the same. So like a lot of times, not only with dancing, but I've noticed even like TV show followings, or even just people getting behind a reality show or a series. Like that sounds silly, but it's like that's gone out the window. People aren't doing that as much. People now are into more of streaming service. You never pictured any of that stuff, and and that's what's cool about life is that there's always something new. There's always future horizons, they say, but it's like
it's just not the same.
It's not the same, and when that happens, like even when you drive past, like you ever get that feeling when you drive past a place you used to hang out with, or a school, or even a store, and maybe it's a whole new business now, and you drive past, you're like,
it's not the same,
and it hits you, like it's like it's not the same, like. I've driven past my high school before, and and I cut through, and I'm looking, and I'm like, man, I had great times there. It was awesome, great memories. But I'm like, it ain't the same. Like I want it to be there. Like I want to still be able to drive past it, everything. But it's like I'm not returning. I'm not going back. I'm not going to even be going inside anytime soon. So it's like. That shit just it's a weird feeling, dude. No, like not to get deep, but it is a weird feeling when something that you're into or impacted your life is fizzling out.
Oh yeah, so because everybody like now they just want, especially with dance, they just want things to be simple, so everybody can do it.
They just want a dance circle.
Exactly.
Like going back to the circle, it's like, hey, let's, because you're completely right. Me and you both, like, we do creative stuff because maybe that's our way of showing that we want to be included, but everyone, no matter what, even if they're just there, want to be included, which is not always bad, but still sometimes it can bring away from the freedom of creativity and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think, me personally, TikTok and like all these new dances that are coming out is what's steering people away from seeing creators like do actual dances, and that's something that's been conflicting for years.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's actually taking its troll on us, like.
And I think too, it's like it's also too with TikTok, you know, when someone puts out a dance or even a song, or like a singer or a rapper puts out something, it catches on like wildfire, and everybody wants to try it. I mean, I think everyone's guilty on TikTok, either copying a video or copying something funny. And it's sometimes people make things funnier than the original, or they're better than the original. But what I've noticed on TikTok is like a perfect example, the beatbox challenge. You know, everybody's doing the beatbox challenge, which is and I feel like I mess up his name. I have my phone by me. I never look at my phone or notes when I'm doing this show, but I am going to look up this artist. So, because I'm going to be honest, it's hard to remember his name. Spot'em Got 'em. Okay, shout out to Spot'em Got 'em. He's the one that created beatbox. He did a song. He did a remix of Pooh Shiesty. He did a remix with The Baby, that's the one that got really big on the radio. But when he put out the beatbox challenge, not only did I notice like NLE Choppa, all these different rappers are doing the dance, it's just blowing up, and they even had like prison TikTok where some of the prisoner jail inmates are doing the beatbox challenge or what, and it's just all these people are trying it, and that's fun, and like especially probably for Spot'em Got 'em and the Baby, like that's probably not only helping song sales and publicity, but it's just like it's probably pretty cool to see like, damn, everybody's dancing doing it to my song. But at the same time, you also, not only is there a bunch of good, funny, fun videos, there's also some like, what are they doing? Like, this is really boring. Like, hey, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't have tried it. And I'm not. And here's the thing: I don't want anybody listening to this think I'm discouraging them from trying some or doing anything. No, go do whatever makes you happy. Try it. Yeah. Everyone should try everything. But I totally get what you're saying. Where a trend happens, you don't really have to have talent. You just gotta have the beat. You just gotta have that song playing in the background, and you might get likes just because it played. Oh yeah. I've noticed that a lot with TikTok, where you click on a song and every video that's either featured that or had it sampled, it's cool. Maybe I like that song a lot, but it's also kind of like, damn, like this is a lot. Like it's over. Even that one where people do the throwbacks, where it's the memory and it's that British singer and she's like, I'll never forget you. That whole song, like that literally is on, like, I literally be scrolling through my TikTok and that song comes all the time. And I'll watch the videos, like a lot of times they're funny, but I'm just like, damn, can we get a new sample? Like, can we please get a new sample? So, but again, I could even see TikTok in 5 years from now being a whole different ball game. Like, seeing like what's relatable, what people are liking and doing. Do you feel like, though, like, I know you said dancing a lot of times, and I can relate to you, where you don't conversate with the person afterwards, you don't talk. We talk about networking, doing different things like that, but do you feel like people nowadays are receptive to promotion, self-promotion, like you coming up saying, hey, I got a new song, hey, I got this? We know social media, everyone does that, and it's normal, and you're used to seeing that. Do you feel comfortable going up to strangers saying, hey, here's my new song, or hey, I'm about to perform, or hey, did you like that, or anything? Like, is that something you feel comfortable with, or do you want to hear them say to you about the effort of asking?
Honestly, I'm more comfortable with just going up to a stranger and being like, hey, you like music? Yeah. Like, yeah. And I show them my song, and they're like, yo, this is dope. Like, I did that when I first moved to Louisville. There was these two girls that was in Kane's parking lot. Okay. And I was like, some came over me, and I would listen to one of my songs, in my car. Yeah. And I was like, hey, do you guys like music? And they was like, yeah. I was like, do you like dark, like, type of music? They was like, yeah. I was like, look me up on Apple Music. And they both pulled out their phone and looked up the song that was kind of dark. And they played it in their car while they was driving away. And then they took another circle, and they was like, yo, that was dope. What's your name? I was like, M3rkuryy. They was like, okay, we'll follow you on SoundCloud. Dope, like, dude. So serious. And after that, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing that way more. Like,
but you know what? That's fun too. That's like that's not only fun, but you're not only building connections and shit, but it's just like that's the easiest promotion. Oh yeah. And if people, you can get a stranger to bop your shit, you're doing good stuff.
And people used to do that back in the day. They used to like have CDs like in this time and go to like big
bro, we wouldn't have Ludacris if it wasn't
like
for blank CDs.
Exactly.
Like Ludacris selling those blank CDs out of his thing. He was just a radio DJ for like a local station in Atlanta, and he had a lot of he even went by a whole different name. And but if it wasn't for Luda selling those out the back, like another artist that we wouldn't have today if it wasn't for her, Halsey. She sold blank CDs, and she even says it in one of the songs, either her song with Post Malone or another song I heard, where she's talking about, I could be wrong on the number, but like 280,000 copies of this blank LP. It's like, there's any way. Like, dude, I remember a guy, he quit rapping when he got married, had kids, and I'm going a little blank on his name, but I just remember I'm eating up at a Texas Roadhouse. Like, I had just moved back from Nashville. At that time, I was doing my music thing. That's where the Sleezy thing came from. So I was doing Sleezy and putting stuff out. But at the time, it's like I started knowing some people. I had met this dude before, had saw him at like a hip hop showcase. But I'm sitting there eating Texas Roadhouse with some friends, and the dude's like, "Hey, what's up? You Sleezy? Like, you got that one funny song with the video?" And I was just like, "Yeah." I was like, "Who told you?" And he's like, "Well, Jonathan Green told me." He's and Jonathan Green's the guy I went to middle school and high school with. He's like, he told me he's actually our meat tenderizer in the back, and he said that he came out and he saw you were here, and he told me to tell you. So here's your bill for your dinner and your drink, but also here's my mixtape. Okay. And I'm gonna be honest with you. At first, I'm flattered. I'm also like shocked, and I'm kind of just like, whoa, this never happened, this is wild. Yeah. And then my friends are kind of like, who's it, what's going on? And then of course at that point it's like I get in the truck, and I remember, or my car at the time, and I'm driving my friends home, or we're going somewhere, and it's like I put it in. And I'll be honest, like, not the best music, but also too not horrible. He wasn't terrible or nothing like that, but I'm if you want me to listen to your music, I'm gonna give you a shot. I'm not gonna lie to you. Also, I'm not some big star or some cocky, like, I think that's dope. You had the balls to give me your mixtape and do that. And so like I remember playing it, and I think there was a girl with me and my other buddy, and it's like, come on, Eric, like turn this off. Let's put the radio on, like what? And I was like, hey. And at the point, I might turn the radio on for them, but I was like, I'm leaving the CD in there. I'm going to at some point, I'm listening to this. Now, I don't know what I did. I don't know if I reached back out or did anything, but it's like, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I think though that's what's dope, is that people are so hungry. If you don't try, it's like it never works. Like I've heard tons of rapper stories where big rappers will just hear somebody freestyle or like do it, and a lot of people don't realize too, even these rappers we listen to are one-hit wonders and stuff, they can put you on somehow, just getting a feature or remix. So never I guess it's like any opportunity, if a rapper's put a single out or something, there is a way they can help you. So if someone does reach out, it don't have to be Rick Ross or 50 or something like that. It can be a Block Boy JB, for a perfect example. I think he had a big hit song with Drake. I see that he's now been shouting out artists and like, I want to sign one. I don't know if he probably got a billion people sending, hey, I get that. Everybody wants to try and do it, but it's like, if you put the effort and energy into it and you connect with the right person, you never know what can take off.
Well, I will tell you, I don't really know if you know these artists. There's a girl named Snow the Product.
Hey, I have a picture with Snow the Product. I met Snow about 5 years ago, dude. Shout out to Snow, bro.
yeah, shout her out. Me and her had talks numerous of times, like that's back crazy. And forth.
Dude, this is a small world, bro. Like, I guess we were meant to do this podcast, bro.
Now, if I can, I wish I would have saved it, but I got so mad. I think I took it the wrong way, just like how we was talking about earlier about like bad criticism. We can't take it. Well, this is when I was just starting out with music. Yeah. And I was working on Audacity or whatever, but I was having my own mental problems. I was like, man, like I don't have enough motivation to keep going. Like, I'm about to just stop, about to quit. But me and Snowden Product been talking about music and where she's from and stuff like that. But this is when I figured out that she was lesbian, though. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to shoot my shot. This is just going to be business. Well, I asked her, I was like, hey, I got a question. And she was like, what's up? I was like, okay, so like, say if you're lacking motivation to do music, I was like, what do you do from there? Like, what did you do when you was lacking motivation? She was like, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna stop you first, and I'm gonna tell you right now. She's like, if you don't have any motivation with music, don't even do it. And that was the last thing I saw, and I was like, got mad, deleted the message. I was like, yeah, whatever. And like, I got mad and made a song, and then like, as I was growing to be more mature with like music, I was like, okay, maybe she said that to like boost, like, give me a push,
or to make you not want to stop doing it. Like you needed to do it. Like
that was like a reverse psychology thing, you know. Like it's up to you. Like it's in your hands. I'm telling you, if you don't have motivation, don't do it. But that was coming from her. But with me, it was like either I just stop because she said if I don't have motivation, don't do it, or I could find a way around not having the motivation and find my own motivation. And do it. And so I took that route instead of just giving up.
And sometimes it is about how you take, it might not even be criticism, even a compliment. Sometimes you could take it weird, like, hey, like, they really fuck with me, or it could, or you might overthink anything, or like, hey, they hated that shit. No, they were just saying. The thing about Snow the Product is Diamonds did a hip hop showcase, but not with local artists, but actually brought in some hip hop people. It was the most random ass show I've ever seen. It had like Snow the Product was like the first artist that performs, and I think the last artist was Trade the Truth, like, or Big Crit, maybe it was, but it was this whole spread out of artists. So you had all these different genres. Like I think even Napier's performed. So I'm going to all this. This is like 5-6 years ago. Like this is back. Maybe I had just moved to Louisville, but Snow's there, and she was the first person. I just know Diamond's there in the back area, the big concert hall. So. Dude, she goes on. She murders the show. Like, kills it. Awesome. First time I ever heard her. Didn't know any of her music, but I'm just like, this girl can flow. So I see her over at her merch booth. She was selling her own merch. At this time, she didn't have the following on social media. She wasn't that big. Also, too, like, yes, she's gorgeous. Like, we all know that. But the thing about it is, I wasn't even trying to approach her. Not even music. I wasn't even trying to approach her to hit on her. I literally was genuinely so impressed with her show during some artist that was up there, and it might have been, to be honest with you, might have been a hip hop legend. And R.A. the Rugged Man, he actually used to rap Wu-Tang. He's big in New York. It might have been him. And I just think I broke off for a little bit, just went over and I said, hey, you care if we talk real quick? And she's like, you know, and at first she's kind of like, okay, this guy. But she's like, hey, what's up? And I said, hey, I really like your stuff. Like, I want to buy an album. Will you autograph it? She's like, sure. I was like, can you take a picture? She took a picture with me. Cool as shit. We kicked it for like 15 minutes. No one else came over to the merch booth. No one said nothing. And I look back on this. If she was doing the same thing, that line would have been through the roof. I might not even got a picture. Might not even had the conversation. But she's just sitting there telling me about, like, how long she done it, what her favorite place is. Hey, ask me about Louisville. Like, is there somewhere she should eat after the show? Like, all this stuff. And it was just, like, very genuine. So, seeing her success and seeing her have people, like, tune in her Facebook Live or anything, because I follow her on social media, it's like, I think that's so dope, because she didn't have to give me the fucking time of day. Exactly. Like, even though she wasn't big and she shouldn't have been cocky at the time, she still was an artist performing, and she could have just said, do you want to buy something? Keep it moving. I'm tired, whatever. Yeah. She just did a 40-minute set. It's like to a bunch of strangers in Louisville she's never been to. So it's just like, you got to think of all these things in your head, but it's like, I love that shit. I think that's so cool to say I saw them then, and now to see a transition. Life is full of transition and growth, and that's the biggest thing.
That's true, because back then she was just starting out, and then she just became big out of nowhere, and I was like, okay, but that's not the product, because I heard her freestyle on Facebook. My friend Hannah Harlow, shout out to her, she shared a post of her, and I don't know what that song was called. I just remember her being in a black room, and she was just going in. I was like, who is this? Know the product? I was like, okay. So now I follow her on Instagram, and then we just start talking about music. And then I like stopped talking to her for a while because then like I wasn't recording or nothing. I was just working 9 to 5 and you know, going out to Diamonds, dancing and stuff. But then when I started making music, I was like, okay, let me talk to Snow the Product, you know, because I see she's like getting up there. Like I wasn't trying to use her for clout or nothing like that. I just wanted advice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have to reply to me. She could have left me on red.
Yeah.
You know, but like every message that I sent her, she read and replied. And I thought that was dope.
Yeah, because it makes you wonder. It goes back to my whole Tyler Creator story. It makes you wonder what makes an artist answer. Like, I would never recommend what I did. That was more of just an experiment trying. But like you just DMing her and like talking to her and that kind of deal, that's dope. But it's almost it's like you see artists now that are humongous, got 20 million streams a month, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they're still responding somehow. And I'm not talking about like I know Jack Harlow will respond because he does the question thing, and some rappers and artists will do different questions or like, hey, what do you think of this, or should I do this? And I'll have like a survey or anything. Some artists might only have fucking 4 posts on their Instagram.
Yeah.
40 million people following, but then it's like for some reason that day they might answer a random DM, or you know, it's like. It sometimes makes you wonder. It's like what motivates someone to actually respond when you hit a level. It goes back to Kendrick. Like you've done it all. You've accomplished it all. It's like does it? I think in my opinion it proves who's genuine, who's not. Because as an artist, if you don't contact someone back, how can you not look back and be like, I was that person at that time?
Yeah.
As an artist, if I ever made it big, even as a podcaster, like say this podcast keeps growing and growing, which is my goal, and I would love to do this the rest of my life, and hopefully eventually turn it into a career, and that's why like I take it so serious and book different people and promote it. I also though know, and I don't give a fuck, and somebody could play this to me, and maybe I'm famous in 15 years from this podcast. I'd still, though, would not change. I would still reach out. I'd still help people. Like, I've already had 2 people reach out and ask me, like, how do I start a podcast? Like, what do I do? What's the setup? Like, is it hard? Is it, you know, I even went out to a soccer game the other night, little city game, and the new stadium's dope. And I went out there with a couple buddies, and my buddy Riyadh and I are talking. He started a podcast with his work. I went into their office and kind of went over everything. I didn't ask for money, I didn't ask for credit or nothing like that. It just was like I didn't mind helping, and even if I didn't fuck with them, like even if I didn't know them, friends with them, nothing, like I don't mind helping or telling someone how to do a podcast or like what equipment I bought or what, because it's like why not help somebody? Like why get to that point where it's like I think that's what it's about. Like if you're gonna be creative, why not help other creators?
I think people just get into their own ways of like being like, okay, this is my following, this is my fan base.
Ego-ish.
It's the ego thing.
Yeah.
Because I had a friend. I'm not going to say his name, but I had a friend. You know, when I was dancing with him, it was like I would support him, but with the people he knew in Louisville, he wouldn't support none of my videos. He wouldn't share my videos.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I see how this goes. But then like, when we talk, like on the phone or whatever, he'll be like, oh, I just dropped a video, are you going to share it? Except because nobody else shares my video. And I was like, I wonder why that is, you know? But then when I drop a video, nothing. Or nowadays when I drop a song, nothing. But I'm getting, back then I wasn't getting enough support. Now like I'm starting to get more people like hitting me up on Instagram or like Facebook asking me if I want to listen to their music or whatever. And I do, I give them advice. But like, he still till this day tries to get me to like share his videos or like get him on a song. I guess because he's starting to see the traffic is more flowing, and like I just stopped talking to him eventually because I was like, you know, your energy is bad for me. Like if you're not gonna, it's almost like using. Like it's almost like, hey, I can take advantage of this situation, and now I'll do this. Exactly, and I think all artists is, you know, especially if you come from the same spot, because I also had this problem in E-Town. You know, like, if you guys are artists and you guys are all trying to get to the same goal, why not work together and make something, create something? There was so much bullshit that happened in the last year or two, and we're still being selfish. I mean, me personally, I'm not asking for nobody's help because I've always been the
independent.
Yeah, like I'm doing it by myself type stuff. But like if somebody asks to work with me, if somebody wants me to jump on their songs, like yeah, I got you, bro.
Yeah, it's like why not? It's like why not? Like now, like if I know the person and they're just an evil bad person, like yeah, I'm not gonna do it. But it's like but I mean, you and I both know it's easy to judge characters. It's easy to read energy. It's easier to read stuff and like. You know, and there is going to be people where you might not want to work with them or do something. And even when you do offer to help someone or you do say, hey, I'll do it, or like, hey, I'll come to the show or I'll listen, it might not be something you really want to do. You might really be like, man, I got so much shit to do. I really don't know. I really would rather just watch this movie. I don't want to go. But it also, it's just a building trust thing. It's like if you can reach back out to the person and prove it, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is like... and they do it, I'm gonna do it back for you. Like, and I'm gonna remember that. Like my buddy Austin Rich, local comedian. Shout out to Austin. He shares every single one of my podcast episodes. I share his videos. I mean, he's already had 2 videos that went over 1 million on World Star. I mean, he really has done well as a comedian. However, he's not where he wants to be. Like he's got some personal stuff. He's trying to get to that level. And I love that he's not giving up. You know, he still tries to do shows and everything. Yeah. But he's not only hard on himself, but he's hard on like his followers. Like he's like, hey, you ain't sharing my shit. Like you ain't doing it. And I think some people read it and take it wrong. I get why he's saying it because he knows what really builds his career and what's made him. And here's the thing too. But me and him have a different approach, and that's what I love about artistry is that. He has such a passion. I have such a passion, but I'm more of like, I'm going to keep pumping it out. I don't need to force you to do it. But he's more of like, it's not like he's forcing or he wants pity. He just wants, if you're writing all these comments and you're sending me this love and you're saying you do all this, just show it. Yeah. And I think that's where him and I can relate from the standpoint of, when we're putting this stuff out, we want people to share. We want to relate, but at the same time, I don't lose sleep if no one does it. Exactly. And he's been almost doing it longer too. And I can't say that years from now, it might bother me or it might discourage me. But I believe in myself. I got confidence in myself. I got confidence in this podcast. I know people listen, love it. That's why I keep doing it. If I had, we're at fucking episode 18. If I was sitting there. And this is episode 5, and I got 5 downloads. I'm like, and my buddies text me, love the episode. You know, it's like, I might get to the point where I'm like, hey, this podcast thing ain't reaching. Like, hey, fuck this shit. But at the same time, I'm rolling with, I'm not going to stop. Because even though it might not be 500 people listening, just the 50 that listen to each episode, or even if the different people, that's what makes me hungry to keep doing it. And I just think a lot of times people... people sometimes will say that they mess with it, but it's just showing like who's real and who's genuine. Exactly. And I think too, it's like that's what's probably built you and Paul Cody's relationship of like every time y'all see each other, you say what's up, and like because he knows you fuck with his shit. Yeah. He's cool if he fucks with you. I mean, shit, the first time he meets you, he's offering to smoke with you. Like, people don't do that. I'm saying people don't do that shit. And so it's just like, that shows not only the person's real, but also you want to support someone who's real and authentic. Like, you don't want to support an asshole. That's why these people, like just talking about Jake Paul, the Paul brothers, whatever. Yeah. They do all the box. I'm not going to get into all that because... they're just doing a halftime for publicity and clout, but it's like, but with the Paul brothers, the 2 dudes, I don't know, they could be the nicest fucking guys in the world. I've never met them, I don't plan on meeting them, but they could walk in and be the nicest dudes, and I'm like, alright, they're cool as shit. But at the same time, half the people in the world don't like them, don't fuck with them, think they're cocky, have attitude, but the reason why they're doing well is because people want to see them get beat up. People want to see someone knock them out. And they know they're feeding off that energy. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna keep rolling with this because it's working. They know it's working. But as humans, as a real fucking person on Earth, you don't want to support an asshole or anything like that. Like if you're going to support someone like the Paul brothers, you want that $20 or $50 that you're putting towards that pay-per-view to go towards a knockout. You don't want to see Jake Paul win. You don't want to see these people you don't want to see the antagonist do well. I mean, it's the same reason we go to movies. That's what we want to see, the good guy winning eventually at the end. You don't want to see it. And so I just think a lot of times people are just, I don't know, it's just sometimes can be repetitive but won't be genuine with like what they're really saying. Like they keep saying, hey, I did this, I heard this, but it's like, did you? Yeah. Did you really authentically listen to that?
Yeah.
And things like that.
And that's why, like, back then I used to tag people like when I didn't have no type of following. Because now I have like a little following, but you know, I'm okay with it. I'm humble with it. I'm content with it. Yeah. But back then, me and the friend I was talking about had this plan to tag people in our videos, to tag people in the songs and stuff like that. But honestly, I took time to myself to look up YouTube, like if that's an okay thing to do, and it's not, because you're forcing people who don't want to be bothered, you know, for one. For two, you're tagging all of these people who can potentially comment in the video, blowing up everybody else's notifications. Yeah. That becomes annoying.
Then you wonder too why, oh shit, I got 5 dislikes.
Exactly.
And the thing about the dislikes is, person might not even like the video, they're just like, this annoying motherfucker.
Or the person might not even like you.
Yeah.
Or don't know who you are and wonder why you're tagging them.
Just a hater. Just a hater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I stopped doing that because I used to ask people like if they heard or seen a dance video that I tagged them in. They was like, oh yeah, I did. It was really dope. But like I asked them, like I tested people, like, okay, but what was the song?
You can tell them when they lie. Yeah. You can tell when someone lies.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so what shirt I was wearing, or like what song was I dancing to? Because it was like well-known songs.
Yeah.
You know, like it's really catchy stuff. And they was like, and I was like, yeah. I was like, it's okay, it's cool. But then, like, in order for me not to feel discouraged in that, because I was expecting people to, like, listen or, like, watch my videos. Yeah.
I mean, did you expect them to know?
I did. Yeah. I did when I was younger. And then, like, I had a random stranger. He saw me doing a music video with somebody in E-Town. And, he gave me some advice, some like fruitful advice, you know, some stuff to take away that, you know, I can use in the future. And he was like, I can tell that you're on a journey, you know, of like being who you meant to be. He asked me what my name was. I told him M3rkuryy. He was like, okay. He's like, now tell me what that means to you. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just starting out, you know. He was like, all right. He's like, now do you look for support? Do you expect it? And I was like, well, I gotta be honest with you. I was like, yeah, like I think it would be nice for people to support me, but thinking that way caused some negativity feedback from the universe. And like he was like, well, you're doing it all wrong. He was like, what you want to do, you don't expect what you want to expect. He's like, don't expect it. He's like, and if you're tagging people, which I know you are, I can tell you are because you just gave me the answer. He was like, stop tagging people, just throw it out there, you know, because the internet is a big place, anybody can see it.
There's two things I'll say this, and I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert or like I'm famous or anything like that. I've been doing this podcast a few months. It's going well. I'm happy. But when I did music with Sleezy thing, my music has been on every continent. I did have some success, and I was more of a party rapper. I did comedic party rap. I wasn't rapping about gangster shit. I wasn't rapping about even real life. I wasn't even rapping about I guess you would say like current situations. I was rapping about, let's get party, see some titties, get shitty, get drunk. And that's what I was doing. And at that time, party music was huge. I mean, this is around the time that was it Party X came out, that big movie about the big party that was thrown.
Project X?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, shout out that throwback. Movie. But yeah, that was a throwback for sure. But that was around that time. But the two things that I learned that I didn't do, and I'm glad I didn't, was the tagging thing, number one, which again, I'm not putting down anyone that's ever done it. Yeah. It is the first thing you think to do. As soon as you put a song out and you know Facebook, I'm guilty of it too. Like, I'm not saying that I did the whole tagging where some people will tag 80 people. Yeah. I might have tagged just a few close friends. But I also noticed even with those few close friends, okay, I don't need to keep tagging it. But the one thing that made me, like, over the years and even recently, where I'm like, okay, I don't fuck with this artist, or I'm kind of like hesitant, or I'm kind of like, that's kind of clownish. It's like, I see people still to this day where they added and I'm not going to call anyone out individually.
Yeah.
But they'll add a girl because she's attractive and she's got probably 100 likes when she changes the profile picture. They'll add her. They don't even know her. She adds them because she wants likes, and they add her because they're like, okay, I know she knows a lot of people. She might have 5,000 friends. They might have 800.
Yeah.
She adds it. Out of nowhere, that guy that does the hip hop thing, he went and added 80 people he didn't know, and then he tags 98 of them. He might know 8, but the 90 he tagged, he doesn't know. So they're writing, who the fuck is this? Like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Why? Hey, how can I? And then you start, and then here's what's really bad. I'll see where there's 90 people tagged, and I'm not saying I'm going and staying focused on that post, but I might go back or see it the next day, and I've already seen that 40 people untagged themselves.
Yeah.
And then you just see people's with their name decided. Then you're kind of confused, like, why does that just say Jacob Jones next to that? But it's not tagged. It's just printed. Oh, it's because that Jacob Jones guy untagged himself.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what Jacob Jones. But I'm saying the whole thing about it is that was one thing that always kind of made me think like they're not taking it as serious because they're just tagging these randoms.
Yeah.
But then the biggest thing that, and I think it's the worst. If you are focused on music and you're making income and that's your life and you're making it, and your name is we'll just make it up. We'll say your name is Outkast. You're Outkast. And I say Outkast at the time there wasn't artist profiles, and Big Boy made his own personal Facebook, and it says, Big Boy, I work at Outkast, is what I do. Okay, we know. That's what you do. You're Outkast. That's what we know. But I can't stand it when I see someone, and I'll make up another name. Again, this is nobody I know. It's a made-up name. Glenn Jones. We'll just make up that name. So I'll see a guy named Glenn Jones, and he'll be one of the people you may know or something, or I click on it, or for some reason I'm on the profile, I'm tagged or something, and I look, and it's like, Glenn Jones works at CEO at Hard Knock Vibes. And then it says, A&R at Killa Records, and I'm like, and then you look, you number one, you're like, none of that's real. Number two, then you look at their pictures, and it's like they Photoshop this fake logo they've made, or they keep promoting, or they'll be putting down there like Killa Records coming, we're gonna take over. No. First of all, there's only some main core record labels. You have to sign to a main core record label, like a really main label, to really be able to break off and do your own label. Like the Little Dirk thing with the OTF we mentioned earlier. You know, I don't know exactly, I haven't looked, but he signed to like Atlanta Jab, one of those. Same thing with Young Thug. You know, Young Thug has the YSL crew, you know, and it's like, I think it's Young Slime Life. And it's like the whole thing about, and I love Thug. I think Young Thug is probably the most underrated artist. One of them, top 5, like, dude is just, he gets a lot of hate, especially in our early days, but I think people respect him, and he's now he just continues to improve. Like, this past decade, that's another artist where I've seen a whole transformation of just, like, Young Thug just really, really is blown up. But the thing about Thug was, you know, he has his home crew, and that's what's put Gunna on all these different people, but again, working out of a major label, allowing him to break off and do these sub-labels and different things. And I learned this doing music business, and I'm not saying there's a lot of independent labels that might give you that freedom. There might be labels in other, we're just talking about rap and hip-hop, might be another genre, but the thing about it is, it's just like, those were a couple of things that were just red flagish to me, and it wasn't that I was like, hey, this person's a moron, whatever they're trying, because when I was younger, my early 20s, I'm 31 now, I would see, like, okay, I get it. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm not going to hate, whatever. Like, or I'd roll my eyes, or I laugh, or something like that, and I'd be like, really, CEO of Hard Knock Vibes, like, with a Z? I'm like, and that's another thing that bothers me. It's like, if you're going to start a label, and you want to say, like for example, Hard Knocks, don't put a Z at the end of Knocks. Like, put an S. Like, it don't, even if you're the most gangster person, or even if that's how you talk or text, guess what? It's not going to stand out unless you've done big shit. You know, like Murder Beats. Like, I think he put a Z at his thing, and I think Murda is M-U-R-D-A. He's a huge producer.
Right.
Talented. Rich. he worked with tons of people. he can do it, but he's also has a discography. He has to prove it, and we don't know if maybe he didn't go by Murder Beats and they did that. I just think. Again, everyone has artistry. Do what you say. Like, I'm not hating. Like, Sleezy E, I spell it Sleezy. I'm not gonna lie. There's been people over the years that probably hated on me musically, hated on me for anything with that name. But the thing about it is, 80% of people call me Sleaze or Sleezy E. It's just, it's not a bad thing, but I take it as a good thing. It's a compliment. Like, I've made a name for myself. If there's Sleaze, whatever. Like, it sounds silly, but that's my nickname. Like, I didn't give it to myself.
Right.
People gave it to me. And that's what has been so important to me. And I think that's what's important in general is like you said, let people kind of like think and maneuver their brain to analyze you. Yeah. Because at the same time, we both know who we are as people. We know as individuals, we're creative, we're good people, we're just trying to make it, we're hustling. I mean, I feel like you and I both are just hustlers. But the thing about it is, we also have to realize we can't change anyone's mind or anyone's direction. Yep. So take the good and bad that's thrown at you. Like, I do it, you do it, and just realize it's like, it's not only going to make me better, but it's like I'm able to mold my craft and do it that way. And so I just think, and I guess just to make it make sense in a way, it's just, I just think that's where you really got to say fuck the haters, don't get in your head, and keep trying, because you're not going to make everyone happy. Not everyone's going to like your stuff. Like Eminem, like Outkast, those artists I just named earlier in the podcast. Huge, sold 100 million records, rich for life. They're made. They don't have to ever do a thing in their life. They could literally go to an island, live in Bahamas for the rest of their life. They're sold. But the thing about it is this: there's 20,000 people in Utah. I don't know why I just picked that. That, guess what? You probably survey them. Fuck Outkast. I don't listen to Outkast. Fuck Eminem. I don't listen to him. But you know what? There's also 20 million people, not just in Utah, but maybe 5 states around there that do. And so you're not going to win over everybody, but as long as you're doing it to follow your dream, make you happy, or just doing what you feel like you were made to do, or like what you wake up every day, that's what it's about. I mean, that's really what it's about. I want to tell you, M3rkuryy, I really want to appreciate you coming on the show. Not only have this been a great episode, I've gotten to know you, I didn't know you, and so I mean, really, I think that's the best episodes, because not only are we getting to know each other, but it's like that really gets info out. That really, like, I'm digging deep for answers. I'm trying to figure out, because it not only helps me as like an interviewer, and people say, hey, this podcast really cares. I want to get all the content out for you. I want to get your story out, and that's what this is about. So, two things I want you to do before we do wrap up the show. The first thing is, I want you to, of course, plug your stuff, how people can find you, contact you, and everything. And then the second thing is, I want you to tell everybody, and I know this could be some pressure, and I'm not trying to put you on it, but give the listeners 3 songs you think they should listen to, or a song they should, or you don't, if you don't want to do 3, just a song that they should start off with to start following or knowing M3rkuryyy's music.
Okay. I am on Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. You can find me at M3rkuryy. That's spelled with an M3rkuryy. If you're having troubles finding that on platforms, you can follow me on Instagram at M3rkuryy. I forgot how to spell my name.
No, you're good, brother. It's good.
Let me
take your time.
M3rkuryy. Y. So there's 2 Y's at the end of that.
Okay.
You said 3 songs?
Yeah, 3 songs that you think that people should like check out. Or if you don't think you want to give out 3, even just a song that you think listeners should start off with to really get into your music.
Well, none of the stuff that you heard on SoundCloud, none of that stuff is on Apple Music yet, because I've been kind of waiting, just like how we talked about the Kendrick Lamar doing the pause thing. I've been trying to test that out for myself. But yeah, it's on SoundCloud. Devil May Cry is on Apple Music.
Okay.
That was inspired off of a bad breakup, and also a video game called Devil May Cry.
Gotcha.
song on SoundCloud called Spaz, and there's another song called Dark Poetry. And Dark Poetry, I actually got a music video on YouTube, which is spelled M3rkuryy, and it'll be like the first video that pop up, and you'll see her doing a Rick and Morty hoodie with his hair up. Like that's who I am. That's me.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, and shout out to Rick and Morty. So I appreciate that, and and I really appreciate the way this interview went too. I'll give you a shout out, man. You really answered things right. You were very thorough. You were very open. You were very honest. A lot of people sometimes can get on and be a little nervous or like might not want to talk about something, but I just really appreciate you coming in open-minded and giving us a shot. But everybody, you can contact me at vibingwithsleazy at gmail.com. Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Like I say, every episode, always love, fan mail, compliments, anything. Keep sharing, keep listening. Go to Apple, leave the 5 stars, the positive. Got 8 5-star reviews right now. Over 1,000 downloads getting here close. So all this is just blessings, and I'm really happy. I want to thank M3rkuryy. M3rkuryy was awesome. Again, great episode. I hope people can not only get a little motivation, but also to just learn about what it's like doing music and the creative thing. And I think too, we really talked about some good artists and some good stories. And overall, I mean, I'm really happy about this episode. So everyone, keep listening, keep downloading, share this with everybody you know. If you haven't liked one of the things on social media, go like it. And also keep following your dreams, people. And again, I love y'all, and I appreciate all the feedback and support. So we are out. Peace.
Peace out.